Hello everyone. So today I'm going to discuss what I think will happen to the general crypto market, what I think will happen to the stock market, and what I think will happen to Tesla. So let's get started. So right now Bitcoin is taking a little pause, and I do think that we're still not out of the clear. I do think that there is a possibility of still breaking down, but right now, based on how it's moving, it's actually pretty decent. I do think that one of two things can happen. Either we play out like March 2020. So if we play out like March 2020, then we'll probably expect to zigzag like this. So if we go ahead and try to copy this, right? So let's see. Go ahead and try to copy this, and then move it to where it is at right now. Then we could play out just sort of like a zigzag way up. Let me just go ahead and try to do this. Probably for the next month. So the next month we probably would zigzag like this, right? And as long as we hover, hover above, let's see, 35,900, maybe like 35,500, then I think we're more or less set to just keep going up. But I don't think that I'm still leaning on the side that we have more downside pressure, although there is a divergence here. So there's a really solid divergence here, and that we're very likely to want to still try to go up. The market will still try to force it to go up. If it can break out of this blue ichimoku line, then it's really good, meaning good to the upside. If we don't, then we would hover here and then want to break down lower. And if we do that, then we're very likely to, not very likely, but have a higher probability of wanting to break down to 27,700, as I discussed in my previous video. So we do have two situations where we go up like this, or we hover here for a little bit, break down, and then attempt to break down later, and then go up from there. So I do think those are the one or two possibilities, and I don't expect us to break below 27,700. So I do believe that this is the floor. It should be right below this, so it jukes a lot of people out and forces a lot of liquidity into the market, or we go straight up and just straight up just juke everybody. So that's what I think the general crypto market will do. If I had to put a probability guess, I would say still like 60-40, as in 60% we're likely to go down still, and 40% we go up. The reason being is that usually Bitcoin in the general market likes to end up liquidating people. They like to have these liquidation events. The difference is that right now we've been falling pretty slowly. So if you notice that the rate in which Bitcoin has fallen, it took 76 days to fall, versus if we just measure it from just right here, right? This is like 11 days to make a liquidation event, a capitulation, right? So I guess you could say this is technically not a liquidation event, a capitulation, because if you look at sort of like the hourly, there's a spike, but not to the degree that, like, it's not even comparable to this initial drop. So I do think that we still have a higher tendency towards the downside, but I think at this point it's still pretty strong. This is very strong signal for the bull. So this is what I think will happen for the crypto. As for the general stock market, I'm just going to do the S&P 500 divided by removing inflation. So everyone's been freaking out. Everyone is like wondering what will happen to the general stock market. If you put it without inflation, it becomes clearly obvious of where it would want to fall. Just go ahead and turn off some of the indicators. One or two things is going to happen. Either this is just a minor juke and we go up, or we fall all the way down here. So it just depends. And I do think that both crypto and the general stock market are tied together. So if Bitcoin decides to fall, if the general stock market decides to fall, then so will Bitcoin, most likely. And this is where the S&P 500 I do expect would fall down additional 20% if that happens, and then go up from there. Typically this type of formation doesn't typically lend to a heavy drop, meaning that it would want to form a, this is like a general cup handle formation, so it would want to sort of maintain this structure. If you draw like a trend line here, we are more or less done, maybe like 1 or 2 drop, or even that we could be done, right? We could be done and then just go straight up here. So people are scared for no reason and then are selling. But this, I don't expect this stock market drop to be all that severe. Well, I mean, I guess it's relative, right? Like if the general stock market sees a negative 20% drop, typically it's considered very bad. But in context of like playing crypto and stuff like that, negative 20% isn't all that much. So I do think that either we are done, so either both the general stock market and crypto is done dropping, or it has an additional 20%, right? If you have an additional 20% drop, we go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin doing a negative 20% drop should more or less land it back to 27,700. Should be a little bit more than 20% from where it's at currently. 27,700. Yeah, so it's about like 26%. So the general stock market drop 20%, Bitcoin drops negative 26%. That more or less makes sense, right? So it's either or. So either we're done now or we're not. But we're more or less close to being done. And then Tesla, right? So recently I made a video on Tesla, about shorting Tesla. Let me go ahead and put on the indicators. I do think that for the next few days, it's going to stall here, because typically when you go from bottom to the top and you hit this 0.618 right here, notice that you hit this 0.618. Coins usually like to bounce off of here for a good solid amount before it continues down. I do think that Bitcoin will continue down all the way down to $300. So this is a good, this is a relatively good shorting opportunity in terms of you'll gain 2.5x from where it's at right now. And if you go ahead and just measure it across other assets that has dropped by a lot, we can get more or less the time frame of what to expect. So for GME's case, I would consider it towards the second drop right here to get the time frame, not this first drop because of all the hype and stuff. So realistically, 56 days. Let's go ahead and check other. So let's just mark it. So GME took 56 days. And let's do a couple of other ones. Mana took, let's see, go ahead and drop from here to here, down to this 0.263. That took 58 days. 58 days. And then the last one, let's just do Shiba. Shiba Inu is probably a good one. So Shiba took quite a long time. So let's just say here, right? Because it hits a 0.2638, 0.236, right? So 74 days. So we can expect like 60 something days for Bitcoin. I mean, sorry, Tesla. So 67 days. So 60 something days, right? So if we assume 60 something days, then we're probably talking around end of March, where Tesla's more or less done dropping, and buying back down here would be a good opportunity to so you would short here, hit here, and then make that extra gain here. So you make both the drop and the long. So that's what I do think that is going to happen to Tesla. Like I mentioned in my previous video for Tesla about shorting Tesla, this is you top right here, you top here. That's 2 tops. Usually it's there usually isn't a third top. And then when you double top right here, and then you break this cloud, it's a very bad signal, meaning this is a very, very high probability of going down. So a double top signifies, this top right here signifies, hey, I don't want to go up anymore. Like I'm trying to go up, but no one's buying. And then breaking this cloud here means that just more or less confirms that this is actually the top. So the odds of this going down is extremely high, like extremely high. So I do think, however, for the next few days, probably like the next week, we are going to probably hover around these prices because this is a 0.618 bounce. So it could go up as high as $1,000 or so and hover here before it ultimately goes down even longer. So I do think it's going to take a solid 2 or 3 months getting down to 300, and then longing at $300 would be a really good buying opportunity to I do think that ultimately Tesla is a good company. I do think it will grow over time, but for the time being, I do think that it is overpriced, and we're likely to see the downside before Tesla goes up again. Let me just go ahead and check this against the inflation rate to see anything that's different. Yeah, so like I mentioned in my previous video, this is Tesla without inflation rate, and it's likely to bounce off of this trend line here for a little bit and bounce off of this 0.618. So we are likely to see a little bounce here, and then once we break below this, so pretty much whatever the current price is right now should be like $800 something. Once it breaks down, it's over. Like, it's over for Tesla. So hopefully you found this video informative. If you do, just give it a like and thumbs up and subscribe. All right, you guys take care.